Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and I hope you guys are doing great. So in my today's video, I'm going to discuss with you about a company called Prizor Viztech Ltd. We are going to go through their recent result and find out the reason why the company is growing at such a high rate, and I'll take you through the main important points from the investor presentation that they had. There is no, the company does not hold any con calls, so I'll not be able to discuss anything related to that. So we have to depend on the investor presentation alone. But before I get into that, right, so we'll get into the business model of the company. So the company sells its product under, their brand called Prizor. So they have multiple products. So first is their surveillance hardware sales, where they sell products like, CCTV cameras, IP cameras, 4G cameras. They have even solar cameras. All these various products that they sell. Then they have a second part of their business, which is smart pay businesses, where they sell smart TVs, LED TVs, professional monitors, interactive touch panels, and the last, which is a small part of the business, is software and video management. So these are the main, the how to say the various segment in the business, and majority of their revenue comes from the hardware part, which is related to CCTV cameras. So if you look at their recent result, right, the H2 result which came, the revenue literally exploded by almost, grew by almost 165% to 106 crores, and PAT was up by almost 150% to 15 crores. And if you look at the whole year, also the revenue was quite great. It grew their revenue by almost 108% to 148 crore, and PAT was up by almost 105% to 21 crore. So if you look at it, right, so they are growing at a much faster rate. So obviously, I'll get into the details why they are growing at such a faster rate. What are the reasons, and what could be the future for this company, depending upon my analysis. So if you look at their segment-wise performance, which I will mainly divide between the CCTV and the display side. So if you look for the whole year, the CCTV revenue was around 114 crore, which is almost close to 80 to 90%, almost 80% of the revenue, and it had a growth of almost 152%. If you look at display side of the business, the revenue was around 24 crores and growth of only 11%. But if we look at the H2 numbers, it's even more crazy. In H2, the CCTV segment grew by almost 382%, and actually the display segment degrew by almost 51%. So this here it clearly looks like that the company is concentrating on the how to say their core business, where there is tailwind and things are going well, rather than the other part of the business. So I mean, overall, if you look for the whole year, yeah, the display segment is still growing, but if you look, the main reason for the company to grow at such a high rate is because of the CCTV cameras. And the other important thing, for such good growth is, if you look at their number of dealers, right, they had 6,000 dealers at the start of, at the end of FY25. By the end of FY26, they had almost doubled their dealers to 11,000 dealers. So which helps obviously to sell more of these products. And at the same time, they got this STQC certification, which is very important, because if I don't know whether you would have heard the news channel or read the newspapers. Now all these Chinese companies which make CCTV cameras are banned because of surveillance issues and privacy things. So any companies which have to sell the CCTV cameras in India has to go through this certification. So it was another big milestone for Prizor to get this certification in year in the year of 2026. And the other important thing is, right, their whole how to say their production is fully integrated, right? They don't just manufacture the whole CCTV. They have their house molding machine, which is the cover of the CCTV. Then they have laser binding machines, and they have these server rooms, which help them give better cost benefit. So this is one of the advantages that they have, and the other advantages that they have in this how to say in this market is like that they are small, so they have a large runway to grow. But at the same time, it's one of the big challenge also. You might ask me why, because if you would have read, seen my video on Aditya Infotech, which is the market leader in India and the biggest player in CCTV cameras. They spoke about the issues with the supply chain and everything, and how bigger companies are getting better advantage than the smaller companies. So over here, we don't know how it will impact Prizor in this coming year, As of now, if you look at the 2026, FY26 number, there was no impact, but we need to see for the FY27. And the reason at this point of time I cannot comment is because they do not hold con call, so question could not be asked. So we have to wait and see how it develops. If they're able to overcome this challenge, I feel they're going to do really, really well. And if you look at the other thing, right? If you look at their capacity currently, so the manufacturing plant that they have, right? So currently they have an annual capacity of around 16 lakh CCTV per annum. And if it requires, they can expand it to almost 40 lakh. That is almost, tripling their capacity. So even though they're growing so well, where if the demand is still there and they're able to want to cater to the demand, they still have that capacity in their current plan which they can expand into it. So that is actually also a good sign if you look at it, right? And if you look in terms of guidance, right, there is no guidance given by the company in the investor presentation, but I personally feel they can grow at a very good rate. I think they can, if there is no supply chain disruption, they're able to source the raw materials which are required for the manufacture of the CCTV. I think they can easily grow in the north of around 50 to 70% in the upcoming years. Obviously, that is my analysis. I would encourage you to check on your own. And the other things, right, you might see right now, every day everyone is using the CCTV. Earlier it was only for shops and mostly for how to say firms and establishment, but now every house has multiple CCTVs. People who have farms, they have CCTV. So obviously the demand is also increasing. And that is the reason why if you look at Aditya Infotech, right, even being, how to say, a humongous company compared to Prizor, it's still growing at a rate of 50%. So there is a huge, how to say, huge demand and huge market to grow. And if I would say if Prizor, right, is able to capture that and at the same time ensure that there is no supply chain disruption, I think they can do really well. But obviously, we have to see and wait for the H1 result to see whether there is disruption or no disruption because of this supply chain issue. If you guys like this video, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless.